I love when I can just sit down and make something that can show off just a bit of what our community has going on. This is the Airsoft Top Series, and today I'm focusing on loadouts, preferably the more unique and standout ones. And thanks to the USAirsoft Facebook page, the Airsoft Heretics group, and the Airsoft Kit and Custom pages, and even thanks to a couple emails, we have a big show for you all. If you're looking for some inspiration for your next kit, then you're gonna find it here. So let's go ahead and get into it. This is the top 10 unique airsoft loadouts, which of course is brought to you by evic.com, who sponsor all the awesome stuff that we do here. When you need anything for your loadouts, then just be sure to use our exclusive evic link that you can find in the description of this video. And a special thank you goes to E&L, who are also sponsoring this episode. They recently just released their E-Platinum line of all steel AKs, and I've been really loving them. They still have the same tough and hyper-realistic exteriors that E&L is known for, but now with brand new GATE ASTERs built right into them. I'm really liking the look of the AK-105, but feel free to check out any of the newest E&Ls at your local retailer, if you're looking for the most realistic AK AEGs that you can find right now. But with that said, let's get into the 10th spot that's held by a fellow player and cosplayer named Callsign Rainbow. Of course, you should have expected a Mandalorian kit to be featured here, so let's break this one down from the beautiful lands of Sweden. Starting at the top, we have a generic airsoft fast helmet with a tier non-galactic bounty hunter face mask, which is of course generically named to avoid copyright problems. Then the chest rig is a generic Chinese knockoff of the Galactac tactical ballistic armor, created a few years back. Some slight modifications were done here and there for comfort and personality, but Rainbow also rebuilt one of the arm braces to work with a Nerf Mandalorian blaster, so he could fire Nerf darts from it whenever he doesn't have his AAP-01 or his Navrich SSR-90 Gen 2. The thigh plates are two Ammo Max drop leg plates, on which Rainbow added a CTM holster for his AAP-01. His leg/shin guards are Oregon brush clearing leg protectors. And then lastly, he has a generic assortment of tactical pouches on a belt for, among other things, magazines and grenades, with a digital urban camo combat shirt and pants that were re-dyed in pink to fit the aesthetic. Rainbow has always been a huge Star Wars fan since way before the Mandalorian series was even thought of. So with his love for the color pink and of Boba Fett, this idea came together pretty easily. And since 99% of the games that this player joins in are all in CQB, bright colors like pink don't matter at all. And that is not a bad way to spend $600, especially if you're having fun with it. I had a lot of Star Wars loadouts submitted, and I mean a lot of them, like these Imperial Arm kits from Marcus and his friend. Then we had this Rebel Alliance Heavy kit by Anders, and this awesome Imperial Scout Trooper by Matt. Again, we see the AAP-01 being one of the most universal pistols in Airsoft, with a 3D printed EC-17 Scout Trooper holdout blaster kit, and an AirTac HPA shot shell adapter. While Matt has a Black Series Scout Trooper helmet with his fiberglass armor completing the look. And all around, this is a really good kit. I want to make it clear that a lot of people submitted for this show, so consider some of these as bonuses. I just didn't want to be scummy and name this episode like the top 34 airsoft loadouts or something like that. I had way more than I could feasibly talk about turned in. But I will mention a few as we go along, like this kit by Nico, who's apparently trying to top me at my own game with his own Chris Fane inspired loadout. Funny enough, he got his liar mask from the same artist that I did, and it's the second mask that I intend to get made for myself. I really want to get a spit it out liar. But moving on, we head into the 9th spot with something from the Halo franchise, thanks to the Mangy Mutt of the Halo Airsoft community. There weren't too many Halo loadouts this time, but I'm happy to have this one on the show from West Virginia. consisting of a Master Le Mans ODST helmet that has been rigged with a small voice modulator speaker system to give off the nice sci-fi helmet voice. The Mangy Mutt customized his Hatch Centurion riot vest to support molly webbing. That way he could get the bulk of the riot vest, but still have the modularity for pouch placement like running a plate carrier. The rest of the kit is made up of Hatch Riot shin and knee guards, a generic rigid tactical belt with shoulder suspender system, which holds his handgun of choice, a dump pouch, a few extra magazine pouches, and a tomahawk pouch for his Cold Steel Trainer Trench Hawk melee piece. As you can clearly see, the Mangy Mutt went the extra mile and added a highly customized MA40 AEG that has been featured on this channel before. Then he has an Elite Force Glock 17 Gen 4 that's been equipped with a Foundry Airsoft injection molded polymer Halo ODST SOCOM Magnum body kit. Then finally, a SEMA M870 with a 3D printed body kit resembles the M90 pump shotgun from Halo Combat Evolved, but that's not finished yet. The inspiration for a kit like this would be that Halo Combat Evolved was the Mangy Mutt's first ever video game that he ever played. He couldn't understand the story when he played it, but he was hooked. Now he owns every game and every book, and he has his own Halo-themed loadout that's actually functionable for the game of Airsoft. And to make this dream come together, it took $2,000, but it was worth every penny to this die-hard fan. And I'm sure that someone out there is now feeling the urge to make their own Halo loadout just a little bit more. Next up, I've got two realistic kits that should scratch that itch for those watching and waiting for stuff like Mr. RJC's British World War II loadout. This isn't a 100% accurate depiction of the actual kit, as it's a combination of different loadouts mentioned by RJC himself. But in terms of clothing, he's using post-war pattern 1953 battle dress for the jacket and webbing. Then he has a Repro Brody helmet with helmet webbing, and a genuine pattern 37 webbing with a bayonet frog and a Repro officer's pistol holster. Then I absolutely have to show off this duo North Korean and South Korean kit submitted by Jake of the Airsoft Kit and Customs Facebook group. Both of these are really freaking cool, and I can't say that I've ever seen either portrayed by anyone else. However, at the 8th spot, I would like to introduce Sam of the UK. Based on what was worn for Operation Eagle Claw conducted by Delta Force in 1980, it's essentially a civilian/plainclothes kit when you really look at it. The main items here are the modified M65 jacket and the SRU-21 survival vest. The jacket was bought as a standard OD M65, then dyed black, with various internal and external modifications, including a concealed US flag on the left shoulder, an internal MP5, and 1911 magazine pouches. And the survival vest has been modified with pockets on the front to hold either CAR-15 or MP5 magazines. The webbing is mostly standard Alice webbing with 2 magazine pouches, 2 canteen and first aid pouches, a rubber K-bar knife, and a rigger-made style SMG magazine pouch. The holster is a custom drop leg modified from a 1980s leather Bianchi hip holster. Aside from that, the kit is just Levi pants, a t-shirt, and a black wool knit cap. And a DBDU scarf with a dummy set of PVS5 night vision goggles. For replicas, Sam is using a JG MP5 SD, modified with an old style MP5 stock, a Classic Army SEF lower receiver, and a custom made Streamlight torch mount above the receiver. The pistol is an AA M1911A1 with various components added from an AA MEU SOC. Lots of acronyms that are being just thrown around here, but the inspiration dates back to being a kid and flipping through those Guns of Special Forces books. Further inspiration and reference material came from the Silent Warrior Foundation interviews with a guy who was actually on the operation, which is fascinating stuff when it comes to the early days of modern SOF kit. In total, Sam says that the kit probably cost him between 600 to 700 pounds. The real trouble was the amount of customization and time spent hunting for several different things on eBay. I've always loved this kind of Cold War kit, and this isn't the only one that was turned in. I really like this 80s African war mercenary kit by Jeffrey as well. Needless to say, another episode just for loadouts is desperately needed, even if it's back to back. At the 7th spot though, Tommy from Connecticut turns in one of the most budget-friendly kits at around $300. This enthusiast took his love for Mike Magnolia's Hellboy and BPRD comics to a whole new level. Tommy wanted to build a unique or sci-fi loadout that no one has ever done before. And after getting into the BPRD or Plague of Frogs comics, he found what he wanted to create. He decided to be the first in the world, as far as he could check, to make an airsoft kit which resembles the uniform of some of the military agents in the Bureau of Paranormal Research and Defense. And to get fully equipped to fight Wendigos and take on the end of the world, he started with a leather aviator's cap with custom earpieces and mouthguard with repurposed welding goggles. Then for the torso, we have a load-bearing harness with a mess of utility pouches, knives, and a revolver for class. Then for the arms, Tommy added on some Krav Maga forearm guards, elbow pads, and gloves with black gaiters, knee pads, and boots. Of course, it's low cost without being zip tied together. It's different, but not overboard. And I can see this being used effectively for airsoft and at a convention to draw in a lot of attention. And I have to say, that's a great mix. As someone who's gone up against this next guy before while ACS Airsoft's last Noob Day event, I would like to introduce Josh, or Golem, of Kentucky. I intend to show off my footage from that event in a review soon. A rather negative review since I was having replica problems the entire event, but as for this Juggernaut, this is operated primarily at Josh's home field of Camp Victory in Springfield, Ohio by a team named G2 Tactical. This beast of a loadout is used mainly with a classic Army M133 microgun and a full auto capable Novrich SSP-18, along with an Ares M320 grenade launcher as a little extra. Again, I see the rubber tomahawk on the list, and we have a TS Blades Huntsman knife. Josh has always been a fan of the heavy armored defender role, and the primary inspiration comes from the Army of Two games. So with $700, this all pieced together with time. And this might seem brief, but that's all that Josh wrote. But thanks for being awesome at Noob Day, Josh. Your crew really brought even more excitement to the field. And hopefully you'll see yourself and your team in the review video that I'm currently working on. But next up from Germany, we have the 5th spot, held by Der Panzer. Following up one Juggernaut with another, Der Panzer made everything you see himself, except for the static cam arm, which his heavily modified M249 swivels on. A German riot police helmet with a face shield and a custom AC unit helps with the look, but everything else was made by Der Panzer himself, just to get the exact look that he wanted. This was all put together to spice up boring game days, he says. And this kit is very well loved at the fields that he attends. At the cost of $1,600 and over 70 pounds, this is definitely a workout to even operate. I see Juggernaut setups now and then, but these two really stood out to me, along with the judges. But just let me know in the comments which one you like more. Both are great, but I know things like the mock flamethrower on Der Panzer's setup or the more maneuverable setup that Josh has might sway some people. Next, we have the most elaborate and extensive loadouts. Out of the hundreds of loadouts submitted, like this Terracotta Warrior by Shoguns of Hong Kong, these last 4 were the most liked by the communities that they were submitted in. So starting off, we have Adam of Adam Dronberg Studio from Maryland. Accompanied by some of the best photos for the show, Adam was looking for a different type of post-apocalyptic loadout. A loadout type that even I will admit has been done quite a lot lately. He's done and seen all the more common and casual Americana wasteland getups, but wanted something more cultured. Something that would make it look like his character has traveled long distances and had many stories to tell. So after walking around a Second Chance, a massive store in Baltimore that resells building salvage and other stuff, Adam found 2 brass chandelier pieces and thought, I could probably make a hat out of that. He then researched various cultures like Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and Singapore to pull in some more unique looks and give the kit impressions that he wanted. Then came the crafting, which began with an old army duffel bag for the skirt base. Then we have the linen fabric that was bleached and dyed. Then we have a German surplus belt that was cut in half lengthwise and adorned with coins. Then there's a leather belt that Adam made and decorated with brass cabinet hardware. We have a hip chain with painted keyrings joined together, a gourd drinking flask, and a small telescope that Adam traded for at Rev. We have several different types of dyed and distressed fabrics, various leather scraps and fur used to make the shawl. All the leather pouches were homemade from scratch, and others are highly modified military surplus from different eras and countries. The little dangly bits and bedazzlements are mostly junk from all sorts of different games. The shirt and pants are old Ren Fair garb that Adam also re-dyed to better match the aesthetic. Then the PPSH that he uses is cobbled together from an S&T with a real wood stock that was stripped and restained to make it look more worn. Typically though, Adam goes on the field without a gun to trade his way up to something more manageable. All the distressing is done with leather gels, fabric paint, dye, and fuller's earth. Finally, the hat is actually from 2 different chandeliers that he attached together. It stays on his head with the suspension ratchet system that he pulled out of an old hard hat. And that's just a list of the big details. The rest could go on for much longer. Adam really went all out for his favorite type of game. And with this loadout, he doesn't find any reason to run or dodge incoming fire. As he states, if you want people to leave you be, walk confidently and wear a big hat. And since so much of this getup was handcrafted and sourced from parts that were already destined for the trash, $100 is all that was spent, along with many hours sewing and refining. You can think of this as a piece of functional airsoft art. While the third spot, we have something that'll itch the Russian loadout cravings you might have. This is Rust 4K's FSB kit. This is how a $3,000 loadout looks like. And the equipment list doesn't have to be that long to make sense of that price. Inspired by early 2000s FSB kits, which is something that Rust 4K has been collecting for a few years now, the early Atlan helmet, I'm pretty sure I'm saying that wrong, so I'm just going to put the name on the screen right now, has always looked sick to this enthusiast, along with the terracotta rain suit that we've probably seen in one video game or another. Something like this reminds me again that I need a gas blowback AKS-74U like the GHK one that we can see here in Rust 4's leather gloves. This may be one of the shortest entries that we've ever had on this series, but that's literally the entire parts list. But this was very well liked in the submission pools and by the judges that I let run through the submissions. But if you would like to see more Russian kits, then definitely check out Rust4K on Instagram. Another great submission that was well loved by the community had to be this World War I French kit by Rob that has been put together because of the recent rendition of All Quiet on the Western Front. Once he started doing research on the French kits that were shown in the movie, it was all downhill from there, Rob said. Which leads us to the runner-up spot and top spot holders. And this time, I'm going to let you all pick who should claim the top spot, as both of these very artistic enthusiasts have been featured several times before. So let's go ahead and kick it off. Introducing, once again, Carlos of Cow Productions and Ludwig of RealFakeGuns. These are a part of two completely different genres altogether, so the comments should be pretty divided. But starting up with Carlos, he set up to represent a French infantryman during the Great War, specifically from mid-1916. There's a whole lot of individual pieces that go into this kit, each with fancy sounding French names, but for the sake of brevity, it consists of an M1915 uniform, M1950 Adrian's helmet, M1916 boots, standard assortment of accoutrements, and a custom-built VSR-10 based 1886 Lebel. This builder is well versed in making his own replicas from scratch, so something like a one-off Lebel rifle just comes with the territory. It's to be expected. I've been enamored by this kit ever since seeing it in color. Everything from the cut, the fit, and the shade just screams of a bygone age, when form was at equal footing with function in designing martial uniforms, said Carlos. Building it was a slow process of saving up and buying pieces from different places, making some items myself like the machete pouch, contents, and rifle. All the while researching on how they were put on, as well as reading into the history of World War I in general. In the pics shown, I've spent almost $2,000 already, but I also have alternate loadouts of the same era that pushes it a little over that amount, with unobtainium items that I've had no choice but to make myself. It's that urge to go beyond and make items from hand by thread and needle, and even to metal work, for an accurate replica that gets you to the top of this list. And I'm sure a lot of people out there love any kind of expansion into the First World War. I'm not sure if we can make a countdown episode out of it, but maybe one day. However, we're at our very last loadout, and it's RealFakeGuns once again. The builder people have said shouldn't be allowed to even claim spots anymore. However, bring in the Cyberpunk gang. Or as Ludwig puts it, a mix of Fallout Raider gang vibes, cyberpunk and apocalypse. Kuberpunkalypse. He wrote that, not me. Used in conjunction with a completely functional arcade cabinet, projectors, and lights at Bloodsband, a 3-day sandbox event with 600 people in Sweden. They played the role of illicit substance dealers, if you know what I mean. RealFakeGuns, as he normally does for all of his kits and replicas, made several parts from scratch, like the airsoft safe light-up glasses, and several parts for his Turbo Stomper sneakers that light up with custom 3D printed armor designs that pay homage to Back to the Future 2. On Ludwig's face, we see fake piercings, grills, and other thrift store bling. On the torso, he's rocking a custom studded, painted, and lightly armored shoulder padded leather jacket. And we have a World War II Swedish undershirt painted up with inspiration from Tupac's tattoos. Wow, okay. Below, he's rocking some normal cargo pants and a custom Swedish World War II leather holster with 3D printed cyberpunk extensions to fit his custom-made futuristic M1911 with a flame tracer adapter. The cost was low for all of this at around $200 to $300 due to thrift store finds and recycling, but that's just for one of these loadouts. The photos with his gang show that they had a ball running these kits, and again, they made their own arcade cabinet just for this game. There's not many loadouts that go this far, but there's always next episode to see more enthusiasts break the mold of what Airsoft has to offer. But again, let me know what your favorite loadout was in the comments down below and who really deserved the top spot. I think next time I'll focus more on milsim and reenactor kits, but again, you can let me know what you want to see in the comments down below. I would suggest following us on Facebook or Instagram to know when we're looking for submissions for the next episode. Or you can come and say hi to me at High Ground Airsoft Summerpalooza event on June 1st in Houston, Texas, or at Airsoft Nation at SC Village on June 15th. Tickets are on sale right now at evic.com, and both of these events are guaranteed to be awesome, along with the new E&L E Platinum AKs that I really am enjoying. But until that next video drops from the city of San Antonio, Texas, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time.
Fire. I'm under 10. Bad. Easy.